Elena stood in front of her door. Today was a big day. She was going to fly to another state in the United States. She packed her bag, checked her phone, and looked in the mirror. She took a deep breath. She was ready, or at least she hoped so. Elena was not worried about the flight. She had taken planes before, but this time felt different. This time, she would travel alone. And this time, she wanted to use only English. Elena had been learning English for 2 years. She could understand many words. She could speak simple sentences. But when people spoke fast, she had trouble. She sometimes felt nervous and shy. She wanted to speak clearly and with confidence. A few days ago, her English teacher told her about a way to practice speaking. It was called shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to someone speak English, and then you repeat what they say. You copy their words, their sound, and their rhythm. It's like being a shadow that follows someone's voice. Elena thought this was interesting. She liked the idea of learning like that. It felt like practicing with a real person. So, Elena made a small plan. She wanted to use her travel time to practice shadowing. She opened her phone and downloaded a few slow English podcasts. She also saved a short story video with subtitles. She chose easy topics, like how to ask for directions or order food. She also made a list of useful sentences she wanted to practice. "Excuse me, where is the check-in area?" And, "Can you help me, please?" She said these lines out loud a few times. She packed her notebook and a blue pen. She also brought her headphones. She called this her shadowing starter kit. It made her feel a little more prepared. She knew she might make mistakes, but she also knew that mistakes were part of learning. In the taxi, Elena looked out the window. The streets were busy. People were walking fast. Cars were honking. It made her think about English. English, like the city, was fast and full of movement. Sometimes it was too fast. But today she promised herself, "I will try. I will speak. I will not give up." She opened her phone and played one of the podcasts. The speaker said, "Repeat after me." Elena smiled and followed along. "You're doing great. You are learning every day." She repeated the words slowly and clearly. She tried to sound just like the speaker. When she arrived at the airport, she looked around. It was not the same airport she usually used. It was big and unfamiliar. There were many signs and many people. She looked for the check-in area, but she couldn't find it. She felt a little lost. She stood still for a moment and took another deep breath. "This is okay," she said softly. "This is part of the journey." She pulled out her phone and listened again to a sentence from her list. "Excuse me, can you help me find the check-in area?" She said it aloud, slowly. Her voice was quiet, but steady. Just then, she saw a shuttle bus. The sign on the bus said Terminal Shuttle. Maybe this bus would take her to the right place. She wasn't sure, but she was ready to try. She walked toward the bus. Her heart beat faster. She knew she would have to speak English again. She remembered her shadowing practice. She whispered the sentence again, just to be sure. She took one more deep breath, smiled to herself, and stepped onto the shuttle. This was not just a trip to another state. It was also a step forward in her English journey. Elena didn't know what would happen next, but she was ready to keep learning, and that was a brave beginning. Elena stepped onto the shuttle bus. She looked around. There were only a few people inside. She walked to a seat and sat down near the front. She wanted to ask the driver a question, but she felt a little nervous. Then she remembered her practice. She had prepared for this moment. She stood up and spoke in a soft voice. "Excuse me, does this bus go to the check-in area?" she asked. The driver looked at her and smiled. Then he answered, but he spoke too fast. Elena could not understand his words. She tried to listen, but it felt like all the words were flying past her. She heard something like, "Yeah, next stop, something." But she was not sure. She nodded and said, "Thank you." She sat back down. The bus started moving. Elena looked out the window. She hoped she would see the check-in area soon. But after 10 minutes, she felt confused. There were no signs inside the bus. There was no screen. She could not tell where the bus was going. She did not know when to get off. The bus made a few turns. It stopped once or twice, but no one said anything. Elena stayed in her seat. She waited, hoping the check-in area would appear. Then the bus stopped again. She looked outside. Her eyes grew wide. She was back in the same place where she started. It was the same parking lot. She felt a wave of worry. "Oh no," she whispered. "Did I miss the stop? What happened?" She stayed in her seat. She did not move. She felt embarrassed. The driver looked at her. He smiled again and said kindly, "You didn't get off." Elena looked up and answered, "I didn't know where to get off." The driver laughed a little, but not in a mean way. His voice was warm. "That's okay," he said. "Let's go again. I'll tell you when it's your stop." In that moment, something changed inside Elena. She still felt nervous, but now she also felt thankful. This man was kind. He wanted to help. She smiled and said, "Thank you." The bus started again. This time, Elena watched more carefully. She looked outside. She repeated some of her shadowing lines in her head. "Where is the check-in area? Is this the right stop?" She said them softly, again and again, trying to copy the clear voice from her practice videos. The bus turned down a new road. Then it stopped. The driver looked at her but said nothing. Elena waited. The bus moved again. Then it stopped a second time. The driver turned to her and said, "Okay, this is your stop. The check-in is just over there." Elena stood up. "Thank you very much," she said. She began to walk away, but the driver called out, "Hey, you forgot something." She turned around quickly. "Did I leave my bag?" she asked. The driver laughed and said, "No, you forgot to wave goodbye." Elena laughed too. Her cheeks turned red, but she was happy. She waved and said, "Goodbye." As she walked toward the check-in area, she felt lighter. She felt proud of herself. Yes, she had made a mistake. Yes, she got confused. But she asked for help. She tried again, and she understood a joke in English. That felt like a big win. She thought to herself, "Learning English is like riding a bus in a new city. At first, you don't know where to go. You feel lost. But if you keep going, you will learn. You will get better. And one day, the path will feel easy." Elena walked into the airport building. Her journey was not over yet. But something inside her had changed. She was growing. Mistakes were no longer something to fear. They were part of the road forward. Elena walked into the airport building. She saw many people standing in line. Some were checking their bags. Others were looking at their phones. The place felt busy and full of noise. But this time, Elena did not feel afraid. She smiled. She knew she had made it this far. That was already a big step. She opened her phone and checked her ticket. It was still there. Everything looked okay. She walked to the line and waited. While she waited, she wanted to keep practicing her English. So she took out her headphones and played a short recording from her shadowing playlist. The voice in the recording said, "Repeat after me. I'm doing my best. I'm learning every day." Elena said the sentence softly. She repeated it 2 more times. The rhythm made her feel calm. She liked the sound of the words. It felt like music to her. Then, something small happened. A man near her sneezed. Elena looked at him and said, "Bless you." The man smiled and said, "Thanks." It was a short moment, but it made Elena feel good. She had used English without thinking too much. It felt natural. She was not just learning the language. She was starting to live in it. She remembered something her teacher once told her. Fluency is not about knowing every word. Fluency means you keep going, even when you don't know everything. Elena smiled. That sentence felt true now. Today, she kept going. She didn't give up, even when things were hard. While standing in line, she opened her phone and recorded a short message to herself. She wanted to remember this day. She clicked record and spoke quietly. "Hi, Elena," she said. "You did great today. You tried. You got confused, but you asked for help. You understood a joke. You spoke to people. You listened. You practiced. You didn't stop. I'm proud of you. Keep going." She saved the message. It was her first shadowing voice note. From now on, she would leave a voice message for herself after each practice day. This way, she could hear her own progress. Later, as she walked toward her gate, she felt a new kind of energy. Not excitement, but something deeper, pride. She wasn't perfect. She still had more to learn. But she had taken real steps. That mattered. She also remembered something else. On the shuttle, when the driver made a joke, she had laughed. That small laugh meant more than just fun. It meant she had understood not only the words, but the feeling behind the words. Humor is not easy in a new language. Understanding a joke was a quiet sign that she was improving. Before boarding her flight, Elena opened her notebook. She wrote down what she had learned today. She made a short list. I asked a question in English. I listened, even when I didn't understand everything. I stayed calm. I laughed at a joke. I spoke with confidence. Under that list, she wrote one more sentence. Fluency is not about being perfect. It's about being brave. That night, when she reached her hotel, Elena stood in front of the mirror. She looked at herself and smiled. She thought about her day, her mistakes, her small wins. Then she said aloud the sentence she had practiced all week. "You're doing great. You're learning." And in that moment, standing there alone, she felt strong. She felt ready for the next step in her journey. Not just her flight, but her journey with English. She knew there would be more challenges, but now she also knew this. She could face them, one sentence at a time. Elena's journey began with a simple goal: to use her English more confidently. She wanted to speak better, understand more, and feel less afraid. At the start, she felt nervous. She was not sure if she could really do it, but she delighted to try. She listened, she practiced, and she used shadowing to grow step by step. On her way to the airport, Elena used shadowing to repeat helpful sentences. She trained her ear. She copied the rhythm of real English. She didn't just study words, she felt them. Then at the airport, she got confused. She didn't understand the driver. She didn't know where to get off. She made a mistake and rode in a full circle. But something beautiful happened. Instead of feeling bad, she learned, she got help. She laughed. She kept going. And in the end, she arrived at the right place. She didn't give up. She smiled. She spoke to someone in line. She understood a joke. She left herself a kind message. That was not a small win. That was a big win in a small moment. This story teaches us something important. You don't need to be perfect to speak English. You just need to be brave. Mistakes will happen. That's okay. You can still learn. You can still grow. Even small steps are powerful when you keep walking. In life, just like in language learning, we all get lost sometimes. We feel nervous. We make mistakes. But every challenge is a chance. Every kind word we say to ourselves is a gift. Every try brings us closer to our goal. So, what can you do today? Try shadowing. Repeat simple sentences. Listen to a short story. Talk to yourself in English. Be kind to yourself. Speak out loud, even if it's not perfect. You listened to Elena's story all the way to the end. That means you've already improved your listening and understanding. That is something to celebrate. Great job. Now, here's a little quiz for you. What did Elena forget on the shuttle bus? A. Her bag. B. To wave goodbye. Comment your answer below, A or B. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more helpful English stories like this one. Your support means so much to us. Also, if you want to help this project grow, please consider making a small donation. In the beginning, it's not easy to create high-quality content. We do this for free to help you learn English. Every little bit helps us keep going. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. And remember, you are doing great. You are learning. Keep going.